Nothing. Yankees' Cody Bellinger and Ben Rice picked up back-to-back RBI to give the AL a 3-run lead in the first. Then in the eighth, Miguel Vargas hit a solo shot to left to seal the 4-0 win. The MLB All-Star break will continue today, with the regular season getting back underway tomorrow night with the Phillies hosting the Mets. Spain is heading back to the World Cup final after knocking off France 2-0 yesterday in the World Cup semifinals in Dallas. With that win, Spain has now beaten France in 3 straight semifinal matches and will now play in the World Cup final for the second time in their history. Spain will get the winner of today's semifinal matchup between England and Argentina. The last time these two teams met was in 2005, while their last competitive matchup came in the group stage of the 2002 World Cup. Kickoff is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. LSU football has released the names of the 3 attendees that will be accompanying Coach Kiffin to Tampa Bay next week for SEC Media Days. Linebackers TJ Daugherty and Whit Weeks and tight end Tradez Green will represent LSU at the podium. The Tigers are scheduled to speak next Thursday, the last day of the event. McNeese Athletics announced yesterday that they will have a new sponsorship patch on all jerseys for the upcoming year. Navarre Chevrolet, who also holds the naming rights to Cowboy Stadium, will have their sponsorship patch on all Cowboys and Cowgirls jerseys moving forward. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. We are live from New Orleans, Sun Belt Conference Football Media Days, the Marriott Arts District here in downtown New Orleans, Louisiana. Jam-packed show, as it always is when we're here for Media Days. 6 interviews today. We've got tons more for the rest of the week. And we're starting it off with our friend Clay Helton, the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. First off, Coach, thank you for being here as always.
Austin, thanks for having me, buddy.
So, I want to start here because I say this, and it's not to be in a negative way at all. It's felt for a while now like your teams have been right on the cusp of breaking through. And a lot of people thought last year was going to be that year. I imagine for you all, it was, you just didn't quite get to that next level. And I'm sure that's part of what you guys evaluate all offseason. But what have you gathered about what you need to try and get to that next step?
Yeah, we've established ourselves as a consistent postseason team, for 4 bowl games in a row in our first 4 years here. And that's never been done at Georgia Southern. But Georgia Southern, we all know what it is. When you have 6 national championship flags on the stadium, there's a level of expectation, and we welcome those expectations that are always championship goals. And so that is our next step is to make it to the championship game. Obviously, we finished a game out 2 years ago. We finished in the middle of the pack last year, making it to a bowl game, winning a bowl game. But our kids have had a chip on their shoulder all off season about this is our next step. Josh Dallas is here, who's been with me for 5 years, and Chance Campbell now for 3. And, they've been working towards this moment of putting us in position to go win that game. I think it's, what's helping us right now, Dawson, is having the availability, one, to be a mixture of retention as well as acquisition, not only with players, but with coaching staff, too. Ryan Applin has been with me since day one as our OC. Our special teams coordinator, Blake Wilson, has been there since day one. And then to introduce Mike Mutes, who really did a tremendous job at Stephen F. Austin last year, leading them as far as they did in the playoffs and setting the number 1 tackle for loss team in the country. Defense wins championships. We've established ourselves as one of the better offenses year in and year out within our league. We need that defensively, and I hope between himself and the personnel that we've acquired, that will be the next step moment for us.
This time last year, I remember talking to you about the schedule, and I know it was a couple weird things that maybe led to it, but the long trip out to the West Coast, a couple games. I know the games didn't go the way you wanted them to. When you look back at that, how did it go? Was it a good thing for your team? How did that West Coast trip?
Well, I knew it would produce adversity and it would produce toughness. And I knew the first half of that season was going to be ultra tough, not only with, 2 road games back to back, staying out in California, then playing a Jacksonville State team that, ends up being going to the conference game in Conference USA, winning that game, losing the first 2, fighting our way back to 500, 2-2, and then opening up in conference and not starting fast in conference conference and then finishing extremely strong, winning 4 out of the last 5, with road wins at App State and Marshall, which is not easy to do. It produced a level of toughness and being able to overcome adversity that I thought our players did a tremendous job with to be able to get to postseason and to win that bowl game also against App State and produce a really cool game in a game with a rivalry game for our fan bases of exciting for our kids. And I hope that momentum carries over. There's a lot of kids that were retained off last year's team, and I hope that carries over to us that, hey, there are going to be tough times. We know how to deal with them, and let's start faster, especially, this year we open up on the road with Coastal in conference, and we have JMU, who's obviously the defending champion, and then we're a national TV game at ODU, who was a 10-plus win season last year. So we're going to need to start fast in this conference if we want to be able to meet the aspirations that we have.
I did want to ask you about that. Playing App State in the bowl game, again, kind of same thing, weird circumstances, and
Yep.
you make it work. Um, how did that end up going? I mean, getting to see a team
Yeah,
for a second time, and obviously it's a rival. It's
yeah.
not just another team for you all.
Yeah, I've been doing it 32 years in college football, and I thought it was the most unique and special situation I think I may have been in because a lot of times you go to the postseason, it is a reward. The kids love it, but you end up playing from somebody maybe across the country that you don't really know or don't have a relationship with. To be able to meet your rival
Yeah.
for the second time, and to accomplish something that had never been done in college football. To beat a team in the season and then play them again in the postseason and win again had never been done. So our kids took a lot of pride in that. I thought both teams competed so well with honor, and it meant so much to our fan bases and our kids. It was just a really cool game, and the city of Birmingham did an exceptional job hosting us, and thank you to Commissioner Gill and our conference as well as the Birmingham Bowl, the J-Love Birmingham Bowl, for allowing us the opportunity to be there with them.
We're talking with Clay Helton, the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. He joins us here to start the lowdown live from Sunbelt Media Days. Got to talk about your quarterback situation.
Hmm.
And you've gotten a bunch of them out of the portal. You've done it in
Yeah,
different ways. Max Johnson's a name that a lot of people around
yeah,
here are going to know from when he was at LSU. He's had one of those journeys in
yeah.
college football.
Hmm.
What have you made of him coming in, and how well has he established himself already?
Yeah, he's done such a tremendous job. We lost J.C. French, who had got his degree, all-time leading passer, accomplished so much at Georgia Southern. He was given an unbelievable opportunity that you can't pass up. And so he took that opportunity, and we were looking for the same dynamic. We wanted he had 1 year left. We were looking for a last-year quarterback that had 1 year to keep the dynamic of the room. We have two older quarterbacks in Max and Turner Helton, and then some really talented young quarterbacks in Weston Bryan and Charlie Johnson, Harrison Faulkner. And we wanted to keep that dynamic, but we wanted somebody that had produced at a high level, and there wasn't a guessing game of what he could do. And when you play at LSU, when you play at Texas A&M, when you play at North Carolina, and you've had the production that he's had, the main question mark was, is he healthy? And he is. He's actually more athletic than even I thought he was off tape. He's moving around extremely well. Obviously, NFL arm talented, and I'm proud of him. He could have gone a lot of places. Had a lot of opportunities, and he came to a system and a staff that really fit him. We've been known for our passing game, and he wanted that in his last year to show, hey, I can do this at a very high level and produce national base numbers and help a team go to a championship. And he had a tremendous spring. I told all our quarterbacks, sat him down after spring and said, hey, if we were to start right now, Max would be the starter. And now it's Max's job to, own that position and keep that position. And it's your job as quarterbacks to try to surpass him. But he has had a tremendous spring, tremendous summer, as well as the other quarterbacks. I'm looking forward to fall camp.
When we talk about it, and I said, a lot of people are going to remember his time at LSU, and I'm sure you've gone back, you've watched the tape, and you've had a chance to talk to him about it. What do you think Max would say is the biggest difference in him between now and the time he was a young player just trying to find himself?
I think one, his confidence level is at an all-time high, and I think him having the ownership within our system to be able to get to what he wants to get to. We have elite trust in our quarterbacks to be able to alter a play or change a play, and there's quarterbacks need reps and they need experience at this level. And as you get the reps and the experience, you just become better. And here's a guy that has had, you're talking about almost 2,000 snaps of college football. And, you talk about seeing at the level that he's had, there's courage in his eyes. And he provides, all good quarterbacks provide hope to a football team. When he steps out on the field, he provides hope. And so I'm glad that he is with us. He has done his job to this point. I know he will continue to, and looking forward to seeing what he can do.
All right, Coach, we're looking forward to seeing your team. Thank you for doing this.
Thank
Best
you,
of luck
Dawson.
this season.
Appreciate you. Hail Southern.
That's Coach Clay Helton with the Georgia Southern Eagles getting us kicked off. It is Sun Belt Conference Football Media Days from New Orleans, Louisiana. We have got a jam-packed show, as we mentioned. Coming up next, we're going to have a conversation with a guy you are certainly familiar with, the former head coach of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, also formerly with the Florida Gators. Billy Napier is scheduled to join us up next. And just to give you the rest, while we have a minute here, the rest of the lineup, Sun Belt Conference Commissioner Keith Gill is going to be here at the bottom of hour number 1, right around 1:30. App State head coach Dowell Loggins is going to be here around 1:50. Del McGee, the head coach of the Georgia State Panthers, around 2:10 in the second hour. And then Ricky Ronnie, the coach of the ODU Monarchs, around 2:50 to round things out. The other coaches in the East Division that we don't have mentioned there, we are going to have conversations with that will play on Friday's show. Was able to sit down with some of them separate. So we're going to have all 7 from the East getting it done as long as schedules work out the rest of the way. Always a work in progress in media days, but we're off to a nice start, and we're hoping to keep that going. So in addition to everything else we have going on right now, we've got a poll question of the day. I don't know when I'm going to have another chance to really talk about it, so I'll at least introduce it to you now. Who's going to win the Open Championship? Is it Rory Scotty, Tommy Fleetwood, or the field? I think the smart answer is to take the field anytime the field's an answer in a golf question, but I love the Fleetwood momentum that's been building. I do like it. So that is an interesting one right now in the voting. 66% of you are going with the field, so perhaps making the mathematical decision there. But for now, we'll do this. We'll take our first break of the day. Hopefully, Coach Napier is going to be ready for us right when we get back, and we'll have a conversation with the now JMU head coach, formerly of the Raging Cajuns. This is the LohDown from Sun Belt Conference Media Days.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season having arrived, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with food, water, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery powered radio and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, there are national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA2519684.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
Attention first responders, police officers, firefighters, military and former military personnel. If you have an acre or more of grass to cut, Skag Zero-Turn Mowers would like to thank you by offering you a special discount with their Simply the Brave First Responders program. Save big money on the industry's top-rated zero-turn mower at Nolan's Lawnmower in Carencro. Nolan's can offer well-qualified buyers 0% financing for 48 months. Come by Nolan's Lawnmower at 3547 Northwest Evangeline Thruway and check out the full line of Skag Zero-Turn Lawnmowers.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. You're supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you.
But he likes you, Bard.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB. Over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
The LohDown rolls on. We are live from New Orleans, Louisiana, the Marriott Arts District Center here, and it is another great opportunity. Always grateful to get a chance to be at these events. Third straight time doing Sunbelt Media Days. We're going to be in Tampa for SEC Media Days next week. Certainly excited about that. It's just a really cool way to get the season started. You get to talk to so many different people. You know, the coaches, of course, kind of the main focus on this show. But obviously catching up with media members and the like throughout this entire process. We are waiting on Coach Billy Napier right now. He is finishing up an interview with the JMU Radio Network as it stands. So he is going to be making his way over here, hopefully very shortly. We just got finished talking with Clay Helton, the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles, to begin the show. If you're just joining in, we still have a bunch of stuff scheduled for the rest of the day. So Keith Gill is the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. He will be joining us just shortly after the bottom of the first hour at 1:30. Dowell Loggins is the head coach in charge of App State. He'll be joining us at 1:50. We've got Del McGee, the Georgia State head coach, at 2:10. And then Ricky Ronnie will round us out at 2:50, take us to the end of today's first day of Sun Belt Media Days. Remember, we've got the West teams tomorrow, so if you're tuning in for some Raging Cajuns talk, tomorrow's going to be the day for that. We'll have, of course, Coach Dez. We'll have the players. He's bringing George Jackson and Lunch Winfield. And keep an eye on our social channels and our website for extra content throughout the week. We will be, I've got an article today going up. As a matter of fact, been working on it throughout some of my first observations of one of the new coaches here today. And we will kind of continue that as the rest of the day goes on. It is interesting too. You always wonder, and I've every year there's kind of a feeling for this, kind of a vibe of what the conversation is. A lot of emphasis for sure on JMU. I mean, they are the reigning champs. They did go to the college football playoff. A lot of that stuff is obvious and apparent. But at the same time, it's been interesting to hear about something like who is going to go up and challenge them. And the other thing about it is I feel like there's in some ways this assumption, right, that we feel like we know maybe exactly, who the good teams in this conference are going to be. I think the last couple of years have taught us that that's not really a wise thing to do. You might have an idea, but the amount of roster turnover, the lack of roster retention year in and year out is something that's really changed the game here. And so, as of now, I think the idea that, JMU is going to be the best team in the East and they're going to be the ones to contend with, that might be the case, but it also can flip in a hurry. We've seen that in the past. And so, was interested that the first conversation we had was with Coach Clay Helton, because this time last year, Georgia Southern was thought of as one of those quote-unquote dark horses. Is this the year Georgia Southern's going to break through? We kind of had the same sort of conversations on the West Day about Arkansas State, right? It's been a while for Butch Jones. Is he going to have his breakthrough? Is this going to be the time for him? And ultimately, didn't really happen for either one of those teams, right? And we know the off seasons have had their ups and their downs, and there are different things about them. But that's all kind of changed a little bit. So we're still hoping that we're going to get Coach Napier over here in a minute, and that we'll get to have a conversation with him here in the near future. But we do have some other stuff going on. If you got a chance to watch the All-Star game last night, it was it always is fun. I think it's one of the better All-Star events that they put on. We've had news today. I know we're not going to talk much about the Astros in the next couple of weeks just because how busy we are, but they traded Lance McCullers today. So that has been certainly some big news and maybe some surprising news to plenty that McCullers is on the move and headed to the Milwaukee Brewers. Sounds like for the most part that is kind of a salary dump type thing, but yeah, a lot going on in the world of sports right now, despite the fact that we are in that middle portion of the summer. Before Coach Napier is able to make his way over here, I will say I got a chance to listen into Coach, or not Coach, but Keith Gill's introductory speech, I should say, getting everybody on board. Of course, kind of giving his state of the Sun Belt Conference. It was interesting for me to hear him reference some of the landmark days in the Sun Belt in the past handful of years, talking about the day that the Sun Belt knocked off 3 Big 12 teams in one day, talking about some of those other big-time accomplishments. And, I wonder, too, we said it last year a little bit. It has felt like at times the league is maybe struggling. Maybe they've hit a plateau in some ways, right? And maybe you're not quite going to be able to jump into that next tier of really, making yourself a factor. And then at the same time, you end up bringing a team to the college football playoff last year. And it was largely unexpected. And I think, look, for a lot of the year, we were kind of doing the math on how it was all possible. And it took a bunch of different circumstances to fall your way in the last couple weeks of the season with, the ACC champion being what it was and Duke and all that stuff. But here you are now, right? And you're at this point where you've had a team in the playoff. You've had kind of that proof of concept that you can get some of these things done. And I am interested. Like, I'm interested to know kind of what the next goals are, the next things that you can accomplish are, because, at this point, I don't know exactly what that ceiling looks like, and I'd be interested for sure to know. And I think, Keith Gill maybe gave his visions and his ideas of it, but at the same time, like, as we mentioned before, the amount of turnover you're going through year in and year out, if you're thinking of just building consistent winners that are going to stay on the top for the majority of a decade run, just don't know if that's going to happen anymore. Now, the one team that you can maybe argue has the best chance to do it is JMU, right? Because they have the money in place, they have the ability to, put some of these things in practice and maybe ramp up the NIL budget year in and year out. And maybe that is the case, but at the same time, I think it's really, it's just going to be so difficult to replicate, And we talked about some of this when, the Cajuns were having their run. Like, all right, here's where we're at, here's where we're going. What's the next step here, though? How do we get to something different? How do we get to a new level of this? And it's not always really clear and apparent how that should happen, right? And I don't know exactly what that looks like. So just an update, by the way, we were waiting on Coach Billy Napier. He is still completing a different interview right now, so we're going to hang on here as long as we can. Do have Keith Gill lined up to go in the next segment, so certainly hoping that we can make this work here in the next 20 minutes or so to get both fit in. But for now, we are still kind of waiting on things as we roll on the first day of Sunbelt Conference Media Days here in New Orleans, Louisiana. As we mentioned before, it's been here for a while. It's one of the things Coach Helton alluded to. Kind of having an anchoring site. Obviously, the Sunbelt Conference headquarters are here in the city, so it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways that Media Days are here as well. And it's kind of become, a home base of sorts for a lot of people in the league. It makes sense for the Cajuns, of course. It's a much easier travel day for them, perhaps, than most of the other teams in the league. But all things considered, it's just really interesting to kind of go through all these processes and see where the league is at right now, what they're trying to get accomplished. And a day like today is a day where you get to talk about some of those things and project them forward. I do think, there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the preseason conference player of the year, Carlos Del Rio Wilson, who plays for Marshall. We're going to hear from Coach Tony Gibson on Friday, by the way, and Lunch Winfield at UL. I had, in looking around, looking at some of the numbers, looking at the styles of play, I was really intrigued by just how similar these two guys are. And I thought it fitting. If you'll remember last year, the game that Lunch Winfield gets thrust into is that Marshall game that ends up being 54-51, all the overtimes, all the craziness, all the different plays, everything that went down. The way that thing happened and like where those two players are now, just it's crazy to think about. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and let's do this. As long as things stay the same, let's knock out a break now. We'll be back, and hopefully we'll get Coach Napier on. We'll maybe have to move some things around. Let's take a break. You're listening to the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The American League took home the Midsummer Classic crown last night after beating the National League 4-0. Yankees' Cody Bellinger and Ben Rice picked up back-to-back RBI to give the AL a 3-run lead in the first. Then in the eighth, Miguel Vargas hit a solo shot to left to seal the 4-0 win. The MLB All-Star break will continue today with the regular season getting back underway tomorrow night with the Phillies hosting the Mets. Spain is heading back to the World Cup final after knocking off France 2-0 yesterday in the World Cup semifinals in Dallas. With that win, Spain has now beaten France in 3 straight semifinal matches and will now play in the World Cup final for the second time in their history. Spain will get the winner of today's semifinal matchup between England and Argentina. The last time these two teams met was in 2005, while their last competitive matchup came in the group stage of the 2002 World Cup. Kickoff is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. LSU football has released the names of the 3 attendees that will be accompanying Coach Kiffin to Tampa Bay next week for SEC Media Days. Linebackers TJ Daugherty and Whit Weeks and tight end Tradez Green will represent LSU at the podium. The Tigers are scheduled to speak next Thursday, the last day of the event. McNeese Athletics announced yesterday that they will have a new sponsorship patch on all jerseys for the upcoming year. Navarre Chevrolet, who also holds the naming rights to Cowboy Stadium, will have their sponsorship patch on all Cowboys and Cowgirls jerseys moving forward. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is packing its bags and headed to Tampa for SEC Media Days. Tune in starting Monday, July 20th, as RP3 and Mesh and the LohDown with D-Loh will be broadcasting live from Radio Row for ESPN's Live from SEC Media Day coverage, powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Kick off the 2026 season in Tampa with ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
Black's Outdoor and Marine is Acadiana's Spartan Mower headquarters. Spartan Mowers, delivering more mowing power and performance. Black's has commercial and residential Spartan mowers with Kawasaki motors in stock now and ready to cut. Black's also has parts, service, and financing available. Call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272 or stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette. Black's Outdoor and Marine, serving Acadiana since 1968.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We welcome you back into the LohDown. We have got with us the head coach of the James Madison Dukes, Billy Napier. Coach, thank you for being here.
Yeah, awesome to be here, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, I was telling you before we got started, I was a student during your tenure at UL. I had my tickets ready to roll for the conference championship game at Coastal Carolina that never happened. So I have been obviously following your work for a long time, and I got to say it's awesome to have you back in the Sun Belt. So welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Certainly, 8 years ago I came to Sunbelt Media Day, and I was a first-year head coach, and certainly been a journey, but I'm a lot more prepared to do the job than maybe I was 8 years ago. I can tell you that.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you about. You know, your time at UL, your time at Florida, despite the fact, the big picture is going to be the success at one and the failure at the other, but I'm sure there was a lot of mini successes and then some mini failures in the other. How have you combined the two jobs that you've done at the head coaching level to now taking that to James Madison?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think, you think about college athletics, you think about how we build teams has changed. The roster management piece, the revenue sharing, the third party NIL. You have a little bit more of a business component in terms of the format, and how does that affect how you construct your process? How does that affect how you build culture? And that's the biggest learning curve. And that's the big takeaway from Florida is that was part of the challenge there, is the college football just got flipped upside down, and I think year one there we go from the team making $0 till, a little under 20 the last year. So I think the big thing is that part of the job, how you build your staff, how you delegate, how you empower. And then this level, it's an annual process, one team at a time, 1 year at a time. And I think we took that approach in terms of how we put our organization together at JMU.
That is the thing. It's so interesting. And we've seen, even Coach Des, who of course worked with you, and they've still kind of gone against a lot of the new school things, right? They're developing high school players. They're keeping them around. They're retaining more of the roster. And, maybe they're in more of a position to do it than some other teams. There's a lot of different ways to win now, too. I mean, we've seen it at the higher levels. We've seen it across the board. How do you now kind of navigate? And I imagine it's case by case, like what's going to work for our university. How do you decide how you're going to try and build a winner?
Yeah, I think each one of these institutions in this league are different, So I've approached JMU a little bit that way. It's like, okay, hey, let's kind of erase the board a little bit here and let's evaluate today's calendar, today's marketplace, teams, rosters at this level, and what is the best way to go about getting the team ready to play. And a lot of conversation with group of 6 coaches, a lot of conversations with people that have been at JMU in the past, and we've taken that approach. We're also in year one, so that makes it different. And I think we'll adjust next year. We did the same at Louisiana. Every year you get a little bit more of a pulse for what it's going to take to chase down whoever's on the top. Now, this is a scenario where you're on the top. How do you keep it up there? But we also have an institution that has aspirations to keep moving, so they want to continue to get better and grow and expand. And we're getting ready to build an incredible facility and expand our stadium and our mid-campus district. So we have a very aggressive, forward-thinking administration, and that's a blessing for sure.
It's very unique, as you mentioned. Now, it's maybe not the amount of pressure. Florida has maybe just kind of comical levels of pressure about winning all the time. But you are going to a place, it's very rare when you take a job where they're coming off of one of the best accomplishments they've ever had.
Oh yeah, for
Usually
sure.
places are hiring because something's not quite going right. So how do you deal with maybe that pressure of, yeah, this team was in the playoff last year. They won the conference championship. As you mentioned, there's not, there's maybe a little bit left to get to, but you're trying to keep that level that they were at
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to getting there.
No, I don't think there's any pressure. To me, it's a positive, right? We inherit momentum, we inherit confidence, we inherit positive energy. Uh, we have a brand. People are answering the phone. Not only helps you build a staff, but it helps you build a roster. And then Florida, for example, is 18 years removed from a championship of any sort, right? So Louisiana was in a spot where it had been decades since they won a conference championship, right? So I think there's is a different challenge, different set of problems. We have a huge volume of new players on our team. We have an entirely new organization. Those are the challenges. But history is the best indicator of the future. And for me, um, we have alignment. We have a commitment to winning from our administration. They help us solve problems, and there's consistent dialogue and a working relationship that I respect.
You talked at the podium about maybe the biggest difference right now in the conference since the last time you were here is roster retention. The idea that you're just having to replace, if you're really good, that means you might have to replace even more because some of those
Yeah.
players are going to have other opportunities. How do you manage that, and how different is that from where it was at Florida, where there is some of that? You still might lose some of your better players, but you also maybe have a better chance to pay them what they're asking or whatever it is to keep them in place.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge you have is the P4 money. Um, and, you're their backup money compared to your starter money. That's the dilemma. Sometimes you're going to have a guy who gets starter money, and you celebrate those, right? But sometimes it's like, hey, do you really want to go there? What's your role in the team going to be? So you're always juggling that part of it. But you also have to be equipped to go get the next guy, and you fight for retention. And then you assess your roster, and you have that January window to go attack the issues on your team. So I like it. Um, no spring portal. I wouldn't have taken the job if there was a spring portal. Um, so for me, I can start my process in January, and we can begin our process of building our team for that season. We don't have to worry about somebody pulling the parachute in May. Um, and they got to go all in. It's healthy for our young people. They have to commit, and they have to go all in terms of this team this year. And then, hey, we get to December, we'll see where the cards are at, and then we'll reboot the computer next year and put together another team.
We'll close it with a question about UL, just because I have to. You seem like a guy who's very into taking a moment in, understanding the significance of where you are. At least that's how it's appeared to me. I know they're not on the schedule. We'll see. Championship game, maybe future season. What do you think it would be like to step back into that stadium as a visitor this time?
I've had dialogue. Mike and I talk about it. I say, hey, we'll see you in December. I always say in Harrisonburg, and he says in Lafayette. So, look, Mike and those guys 2 years ago, if the quarterback doesn't get hurt, they win it. So I'm really proud of him. And he's competing in a different environment than I did. We hit it just right there. The stars aligned for us to be successful. And Mike has a different challenge, but he's fielded very competitive teams. I mean, heck, he had JMU on the ropes last year, right? So I'm proud of him. The quarterback, obviously, the injuries there have affected his ability, the outcomes of the seasons. But 2 years ago, that team they had, he's done a great job. So I'm excited about a potential UL matchup in the championship game. And if I was drawing it up, I would be pulling for that. And Mike was one of my and really, all those guys, Tim, Troy, Mark Hockey's back there now. There's a lot of guys in that building that I have relationships with that I have a ton of respect for that really contributed to our success at Louisiana. And I'll forever be grateful for that. And, down the road, I'm going to hire some of those guys again too. So big thing is we got to go compete this year, try to win the East, try to win the conference championship, try to be the best G6 team in the country and get in CFP. To do that, we got to focus on the work that we have to do today, and have a good next couple of weeks here and get some momentum headed in training camp. That's where the fun begins. So, no, it's a one game at a time, one season at a time. Just your typical coach speak stuff, but that's the stuff that works. And that's the way we've always done it. That's where we're going to continue to do it.
Coach, appreciate you doing this. Been looking forward to having this conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Billy Napier, head coach of the JMU Dukes. We're going to take a break. We've got more coming up. You're listening to the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
How many delicious small sliders can you eat? You can find out by taking part in the Lafayette Small Sliders Eating Contest held during the Lafayette Anniversary Bash on Saturday, July 25th at 4611 Ambassador Caffrey Parkway. During the location's Anniversary Bash, which also features bounce houses and games for the kids, live music, and more, there will be the eating contest where you can score a cash prize. To sign up to see if you have what it takes to win the contest, visit ESPNSouthwestLouisiana.com and click on the Small Slider sign-up sheet.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Only the best of the best will stand proudly on the platform when Michael's Men's Club brings you the 15th Annual Stripper Olympics. Wednesday, July 15th. It's a special night of fun and games when the Stripper Olympics returns to Michael's Men's Club. Guys, it's a no-holds-barred competition. Ladies, you have a chance to win big if you're in the game. Michael's Men's Club invites you to battle it out in 3 categories. The pole, the floor show, and the most ancient art of them all, the lap dance. With $650 cash per category. First place overall gets $1,500. Second place overall gets $1,000. And third overall gets $500. Plus $5,000 in total Stripper Olympics cash to be awarded. Plus a feature in Exotic Dancer magazine. Professional entertainers come from all over the USA to compete for the $5,000 in cash. Guys, mark your calendar and tell your friends, because this is the event you cannot miss. The 15th Annual Stripper Olympics. Wednesday, July 15th at Lafayette's premier gentlemen's establishment, Michael's Men's Club. Highway 90 Broussard. Doors open at 5 and show starts at 7 sharp. Tickets $30 at the door. Let the games begin. Get more details now at michaelsmensclub.com.
Need peace of mind with your estate planning? Turn to Beal & Aber, your trusted hometown lawyers. At Beal & Aber, we make estate planning simple and stress-free, ensuring your legacy is secure and your future is in the right hands. Don't wait. Schedule your consultation today at BealAbear.com. That's BealAbear.com. Safeguarding your tomorrow today.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet. Heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
This is ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal & Aber studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal & Aber, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We are back here with the LohDown. Sunbelt Conference Media Day coverage rolls on. Really appreciate our friend Billy Napier there. And look, as you listeners may have expected, for me, that's a conversation I've looked forward to having for a long time. I was a sophomore at UL when Billy was hired the first time. I was there when they won the championship. I was at FSU, but obviously came back, was at those games, and it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome to watch that program have new life, so to speak. And, and it was also funny, obviously, because he ends up going to Florida. And so being a Florida State guy like myself was a little difficult to try and have rooting interest in both programs there. But I did really continue to root for him. And same thing now. Like, wait, am I gonna root for JMU to do well now? Being in the Sun Belt when they're playing against UL. But either way, great to have him back in the conference and great to have a chance to talk with him there. We did have to move some things around because of the timing. So obviously we had to push Commissioner Keith Gill, rather. We are scheduled to have Dowell Loggins right here at the end of this hour. And so hopefully that's going to go on time. And if not, we'll just have to move some things around. The goal is to get all 7 coaches in the East. As I mentioned, 2 of those interviews will play on Friday. And we'll kind of use Friday as our spillover day. 2-hour show, live radio, no way to get everybody in all in one day. So it's kind of nice. We'll actually have a little, a little extra, a little lagniappe for you, to borrow a Louisiana phrase here on Friday's edition of the show. But, I do go back to, and by the way, it was interesting. He mentioned hiring back some of his old friends. I'm like, wait a minute, who's he talking about there? Who's he gonna hire back? That's at UL right now. But the JMU question for me is so fascinating because, like, hey, do I believe in the Billy Napier philosophy? Yeah, I'm still buying that. Sorry, still buying it. B, do I believe in the whole JMU has more money than everybody else in the rest of the conference? Yeah, I think that's probably true. So then why do I not think they're going to run away with this division? I've just seen the Sun Belt be way too competitive, and I don't have any of those proven building blocks for them. I wasn't the biggest Alonzo Barnett fan in the world, but if he was back at quarterback, I could definitely see how you'd convince yourself. He's not. He went to UCF, so I don't know. I've gone back and forth on that one for sure. I've struggled with it a little bit, but I understand why they were picked to win the East, I guess is my point. And I don't have this team that I'm telling you is going to be the clear-cut one that's going to knock them off. But I don't think it's going to be a runaway. I will say, every year, right, Kevin and I do this. It's kind of a running thing that we do, talking about who maybe the dark horse is, or did you go away from media days thinking someone might be a little better than when you went into? I kind of have that with Marshall right now. I talking to Tony Gibson a little bit earlier on, as I mentioned, I'm going to have an interview with him on Friday. Talking to him a little bit, off the record as well. Getting a chance to look at that roster. They do have the preseason player of the year at quarterback. Like that helps for sure. I thought that team was a lot more competitive. Look, their roster was ravaged by Charles Huff when he went to Southern Miss last season. I did not have a ton of confidence that Marshall was going to be an overly competitive football team, and yet they were. They were really solid. So that's kind of been one of my thoughts here early on in the process, as we are now going to be joined to close out hour number 1 by our third head coach. It is the man in charge of the App State Mountaineers, Dowell Loggins. First off, Coach, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
I started the hour with Coach Helton.
Okay.
So I asked him, man, how unique was that, the bowl situation? I know it was, a bunch of weird circumstances thrown into the mix, but had to be at least cool, you guys getting a chance to play him again. I know the result wasn't what you wanted, but I mean, what was that like?
Well, all right, so we're, you go through the season, you don't finish the way you want to finish. You go 5-7, and no one that wears black and gold is happy, starting on myself. And so you're reflecting. Hey, what do I need to do better? How do I improve? How do I improve our coaching staff? How do I improve our training, our strength staff? How can we do things better? How do we get better constructing a roster? Then all of a sudden you're sitting there, and I remember the night. I remember exactly how it happened. I'm sitting there dark in Boone, which it always is in December, and cold. And my wife and I are sitting on the couch and we're watching TV, and I'm sitting there, I got to do better at this. I got to be better here. I need to do better here. And she's like, yeah, worry about that. Like, it's December. Just, all right, season's over.
All right, it's off season.
Yeah, well, then my phone rings, and it's Doug Gillen, our AD. He's like, hey. I was like, hey, what's up? He's like, what are you doing? I was like, thinking about how I got to get it better. And he's like, all right, well, you want to put that on pause and play a bowl game? I go, I'd love to play a bowl game. And he was like, okay, awesome. He's like, look, it's some moving parts going on right now. And I'm paying attention a little bit as things drop in our AP. And it's like,
right,
hey, there's one or two more. This could be us. Now, we'd already had exit meetings. Here's what makes it hard. And we were very transparent in our program. And I knew I needed to improve the roster. So we had some tough conversations with guys about, hey, guys, I'm going to bring in competition. And I'm not saying you have to go, but I'm telling you, we're going to bring in competition. And so then all of a sudden, you get a bowl game. And all these kids are like, hey, we're going to transfer. I don't want to compete. I want to be told a spot. My NIL number's not what I think it should be. Okay. And we're thinking, hey, we're building our roster. I'm like, we got a month to like build a board, figure this whole thing out, study tape. And then, so this thing's happening. And they're like, hey, and it's Georgia Southern, your rival. And I'm like, all right. So then I'm having flashbacks. I'm 7 years old. I'm like, I remember watching games with my dad in the NFL. It was like the strike, 1987 strike. And Sean Payton's playing quarterback for the Bears. And
there we go.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, and it was my first boss of the Dallas Cowboys. So I remember Sean telling those stories about, like, being on those teams and the strike. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, we got like 60 players. So then we go play quarterback with a guy that played safety for us all year because both our quarterbacks we told them we're going to bring in competition. We got to improve at this position. So they're like, hey, we're going to transfer. And I understand that now, wish them the best. And then all of a sudden you're playing a bowl game against your rival. But so I call our seniors right after I got off the phone with Doug. I said, hey, y'all want to play? And what a great way. It didn't go the way we wanted, but what a great way for our seniors to be able to spend, 7 to 10 more days together, get to play in a bowl game, something they hadn't been a part of in a couple of years. So we're grateful for that opportunity. Didn't go the way we wanted, but it was a fun week with our team.
Yeah, I imagine, like, because there's just a finality to it, right? It happens for everybody. Maybe some it's Pop Warner, some it's high school football. At college, it's that last game, and for then it to be, hey, it's not the last game anymore.
Yeah, and you got to remember that those probably, I don't know how long it took, but those guys weren't exactly like lifting weights and those things. They're thinking the next chapter of their life. Like, hey, what do I
get the LinkedIn resume?
Yeah, exactly. Resume building, and hey, coach, can you call this person? They got a job open over in the construction company and all this other stuff. And now it sounds like, hey, y'all want to play football? But so it was a really unique process. The best thing for us was we lost probably 35 kids in that transition. So it probably helped us that we spent 16 years in the NFL because I was like, hey, it's like a 53-man roster. We're going to practice. We had to change the way we practice because you can't get, like, you don't have scout teams. It's like, hey, one's is lots more self-service, how you practice in the NFL. But it also gave us a preview of what we had coming back, which was a blessing because then all of a sudden, guys that weren't getting reps and playing in games got to play in a game. Some of the 2s and 3s that weren't playing during the season got to play and start in games. And we knew what it kind of defined some people for us, like, hey, he can do it. He needs an opportunity versus like, hey, we're fishing. We got to go in the portal at that spot as well.
Yeah, so talk to me about what the team looks like now as you've had the results of all that. You're able to go out, add some players to your roster, have a nice group of returners. What's it looking like?
Yeah, I feel, we were able to put the number one class in our conference together in recruiting. And then you bring in 70 new players, probably 30, I think 29 high school, JUCO, 36, 37 transfer portal guys, and just feel what we needed to do was we needed to get faster as a team. Our team speed wasn't where we wanted it to be. When I first got hired, we got hired 36 hours before the transfer portal opened. And so I'm going in the transfer portal as a first-time head coach, basically trying to build a team. My first team meeting was like 50 people there. I'm like, hey, where's everyone else? Like, coach, that's all that's left. I'm like, well, where's the Aguilar kid? Like, coach, he's at in California, and there are rumors about UCLA. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're talking about those conversations. I'm like, oh, well, what about this guy? Well, coach, he's in Missouri. What about that guy? Well, he's going to Tulane, coach. I'm like, all right. So, all right, here's where we're starting. And, you're doing it solo. You're vetting players. You're building a roster and trying to hire coaches, too, because you got to interview coaches. Right. And so you're going through that process. And just feel so much further ahead now having a staff. I hired my general manager from Landon Greer from the Arizona Cardinals. His dad was my boss for the Miami Dolphins. He was my boss when I was the coordinator for the Dolphins, and he was our GM. So I hired his son, and then all of a sudden just having the scouting staff put together, having the coaching staff put together, you had so much more time to vet kids. And that's, for us, we didn't want to miss on character. We wanted guys that love football, that were passionate about football. And, so we were able to do all that. So I feel so much better about the competitive spirit of our team, where we need to improve as a roster. And not only myself, like going to second year as a head coach, like know where I need to improve and how I can help the football team more from my role.
We can close it with that. I had a conversation. UL softball is a big deal in Lafayette, and I was talking to our coach about it. She mentioned the fact that since the program's built and established, the fans are already there. It's it's such an ease of not having to try to worry about all that stuff and building a team.
Yeah.
You guys have that at App, right? The fan base is there. The football
100%.
program is a big deal over there. Yep. How nice is that to have, and then how excited are you to get to deliver back to them with the competitive team?
Look, we're all competitive, and we all have competitive spirit, but you're also, as a human, all of us are people pleasers at some point, and so you want to build a product that your fans are excited about. App is a very unique place because it is a very tight-knit place, and they've had so much tradition and history. It can be a blessing and a curse because there's expectations, and the game has changed since the transfer portal NIL world, and so things are different. But for us to feel good where we're at with our roster and be able to put a product out where our fans are proud is a big deal to us, because we all want to please and we all want to make our fans, we have the best fans. I mean, 5 straight years of sellouts, and that helps us in recruiting. Everyone's like, hey, well, what's y'all's magic sauce? Y'all have kind of figured this recruiting thing out. We got a great product to sell, and we have a great stadium, a great game day atmosphere. And so that makes in a tradition and history.
Right.
So going into year 2, feeling so much better about where we're at as a team, our roster. I'm excited to put a product out there that our fans are excited about.
Coach, appreciate you doing this. Best of luck this season.
Absolutely appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
It's Dal Loggins, head coach of the App State Mountaineers, as we mentioned, heading into year 2, looking to get the Mountaineers back to the top of the Sun Belt Conference, a place that they are quite familiar with. They have been there for a while. Okay, programming note, we're going to go ahead and move Commissioner Gill. We're going to talk to him either tomorrow or Friday. Just as a result, Coach Napier got a little backed up there, so we made it all work, was able to talk to Commissioner Gill in the break, so we're going to get that sorted out. We will have him, but not on today's show. Still to come in hour number 2, Del McGee, head coach of the Georgia State Panthers, Ricky Ronnie of the ODU Monarchs, and we'll have a little time to kind of react to everything. It's the LohDown. Stay with us.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Ozempic, Wegovy, GLP-1s. Every day, one thought haunts you. What if I stop? A 2026 British Medical Journal study says you're going to gain every pound back. So, what now? Well, there's an answer. Alex Goen patented hypnosis. The Journal of the American Medical Association says adding behavior therapy to GLP-1s produces 3 times the results than GLP-1s alone. And hypnosis is behavior therapy concentrated. Alex Goen Hypnosis is the only U.S. patented hypnosis proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office. Engineered to destroy cravings, make you full on half the food, and kill late-night fridge attacks. Only $59.99 or your money back. Weight loss seminar Saturday, July 18th at the Hilton Garden Inn Cajun Dome, 11 a.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's ALEXGOEN.com.
Misfits Dine and Drink, a destination restaurant in Broussard, is constantly evolving. Dine in for great food and a great atmosphere. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or brunch on Saturday or Sunday, stop in to enjoy a handmade gourmet pizza or one of their delicious pastas. Take a sip of their new and seasonal craft cocktails and mocktails. And don't forget dessert. Try the birthday cake bread pudding. Whether it's new menu items or old favorites, come to Misfits for a great food experience. It's classic Italian with a modern twist. Misfits Dine and Drink, 200 Heritage Parkway off Highway 90 in Broussard.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Christine Lisi. England and Argentina resuming one of the fiercest rivalries in international soccer in the semifinals of the World Cup, one that dates back to 1962. They are just underway from Atlanta. The winner takes on Spain in Sunday's final. NBA, the Warriors among the teams still in the race for free agent LeBron James. Draymond Green already made his pitch to the 41-year-old during a recent golf outing. Steph Curry presented his case today on Good Morning America.
The Bay, we know how to win. It's beautiful weather, great golf. I know he's into that. But like you said, the USA experience that we had, the battles that we had over the years. We just know how to play basketball, and I think that he would enjoy, just the idea of what it means to finish your career the right way.
Steph and LeBron did win gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Baseball, Astros finalizing a trade that would send oft-injured righty Lance McCullers and lefty Colton Gordon to the NL Central leading Brewers. Not yet known what Houston's getting in return. Astros 3 out in the AL West, game and a half out of the final AL wildcard spot.
If you run a small business, you've got to try Gusto. Get unlimited payroll runs and get your payroll taxes filed automatically. Offer health insurance, 401k, and more. Get started for free at gusto.com.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2. ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are, of course, with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, as well as streaming it live on YouTube each and every day. ESPN_SWLA is the channel. We are live from New Orleans, Sunbelt Conference Media Days 2026, day number 1, which means the teams from the East Division are going today. We have already had some really fun conversations. We started out with Clay Helton, the head coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. We had Billy Napier, the new head coach of the JMU Dukes, of course, formerly with the Cajuns. And we rounded out the hour with Dowell Loggins of the App State Mountaineers. Still ahead, we have Del McGee scheduled to join us in just less than 10 minutes. So we're going to probably sneak him into this first segment. He is in charge of the Georgia State Panthers. And then we're rounding out day number 1 with Ricky Ronnie at the back half. We have him scheduled for 2:50. We'll see if we can get him a couple minutes before that, but he's going to be our last guest of the day. So rocking and rolling here, as it always is. It's more of a sprint than a marathon. SEC Media Days next week will be there for 4 days. That's going to feel much more like a marathon. Sunbelt here, it's rapid fire. We get everything rolling, and it happens pretty quickly. So if you're just joining us, I did give a couple of things that I had of note from Keith Gill in his opening address, talking about, where the Sun Belt Conference is. If you're also just joining us, he was supposed to join us in the first hour. We had a couple things move around, so he's going to talk with us tomorrow. But I do still think, like, one of the themes going in for me, maybe the biggest overarching theme, is like, who's going to be good, right? And that's the question I get asked. It's the easiest question. It's, you're going to Sun Belt Media Days. Well, who's going to be good this year? And my biggest answer is, like, I don't know. And it's the dumbest answer you could possibly give, but it feels more relevant than ever because there's just so much turnover. Still, I think you use your context clues. You can use your other elements of looking at the rosters and things of that nature. And look, I will say this. Earlier, I gave you my early candidate for a team that I feel better about now than I did at the start of the day, and it was Marshall. App State might be another one. Dowell Loggins and company, they did put together a really impressive recruiting class. He told you right there, they had some pretty stern exit meetings where players were maybe wanted to be handed a spot as opposed to fighting for it. And they said, all right, well, then you can be on your way then. And so I thought last year that maybe there was going to be that benefit of the doubt thing with App where they just keep it rolling, right? The same way with JMU. I mean, that's the thing right now that Coach Napier is going to be, I don't know if fighting against is the right word, because maybe it's working for him. Like, JMU is at this level, keep him there. App State for a long time was at that level. Last year was maybe a little step below it. They go 5-7 in the regular season. They get that impromptu bowl game, which it's funny too. Like, that's going to count on Coach Loggins' official coaching record. But as he gave you there, a safety playing quarterback, and all the things they had to do to make that game happen. It doesn't necessarily feel like it should count as a loss, but regardless, it's a 5-8 season. It's not what App's used to, and he is certainly very confident that they're going to get things turned around. We do have a poll question of the day, and we mentioned this at the beginning of the first hour. We do have a chance to at least reference it once more here. We had the one earlier, by the way, last week about or at the beginning of this week about being ready for football season. As I said, like today's the day I'll start to get there, and I think we're there as far as getting me back in that mood, in that mode. Who will win the Open Championship? Rory, Scotty, Tommy Fleetwood, or the field? Right now, still 70% of the voting is going towards the field, with some Matt Fitzpatrick love coming in the comment section. We do have the second World Cup semifinal officially underway. Of course, we're not going to get to do our red card rundown today, although actually we might have a chance in the middle of the hour. We'll see if we get some time to do it and talk about things. England and Argentina are facing off. Of course, the right to face Spain in the championship. That is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. They are 6 minutes in, no score. Lionel Messi and Argentina against Harry Kane and England. Hard to believe by this time when we get to SEC Media Days on Monday, the World Cup will be over. That'll be all she wrote. So that is rather sad in some ways. Last thing I'll mention here, in addition to obviously Saints training camp getting going in a little bit, the Pelicans Summer League team has one more game tonight. They'll play the Cavaliers at 4:30. The Pels had like this crazy long streak of losing Summer League games, but they've figured that out. They beat Charlotte and they beat Phoenix, so that's good for them. Not sure any of that obviously matters, but it is at least worth noting. Been, looking through, seeing, hey, is anything going to jump out at you? It was nice to see Jaron Pierre with a 16-point performance, the rookie that they drafted, who's a New Orleans native. So nice to see him, get some shots to fall, score some points against Phoenix in that win. And then the win over Charlotte, where they came back and end up winning by 4. Of all people, Hunter Dickinson, the big man, had 21 points for them, led the way. They also got 19 from Bufkin, and Pierre in that game had 12 points off the bench. He has not been shy about putting up shots early on in his Pels career, so that is always fun when you get a guy who's not afraid to pull the trigger here early on. So with all that being said, you talk about the other things that as I said, I'm going to get back to the Sun Belt here. I keep going back and forth on a few of the teams on this east side. ODU's one of them because last year at this time, they were my pick to be, the dark horse of the year and maybe jump out and do some things. And they did. They accomplished a lot of that. And then they kind of got ravaged by the portal a little bit, right? They lost Colton Joseph, their star quarterback. And so now they have a guy behind him in Quinn Hinnackel who they do feel good about. I know there's some other talent in that room, and it shouldn't just all be about the quarterback. But I just wonder, is that a program that can kind of weather the storm of their first real big portal raid, it feels like, where they had a bunch of their guys at key positions get taken from them? And are they going to be able to withstand that and have another solid season? They're a big wild card for me. It's not the same feeling I had last year where I just was pretty confident that they were going to be a solid team. I think they could be really good. I think there's a scenario in which they're not very good at all. I think anything in there is in play, right? Whereas I guess the teams I feel a little bit more confident in being steady and solid are your Marshalls, your Apps, your Georgia Southerns of the East Division. Look, Georgia State's going to be another one where I got to see it first. I got to see it. There's been some struggles there. The consistency. We know they've brought in some nice recruiting classes. They've brought in some talent, some stuff on paper that looks really solid, but are they going to get it done on the field? And it's just been a rough couple of seasons for them. So they're another one that, I'll be surprised, I think, if they're contending. And that's, that reflects where they were picked. But at the same time, I imagine their head coach, Del McGee, would tell you, and he's about to join us, that they feel good about what they've got, kind of the direction they're headed. That's the other thing, I guess, about some of this, you can kind of compare it for where other leagues are when teams start beating each other and you have all that parity. I've said it before, especially at the mid-major level, the best case scenario for you as a conference is what happened last year. A bunch of parity, but a team that rises above the parity. JMU was able to do that, right? JMU went 12-1. JMU went 8-0 in conference play. to get a level, to get teams into that next step. And at one point, that was a New Year's Six Bowl that everybody was hoping for. And now that's a playoff spot that everyone's hoping for. You do have to have that one team. Now, it helps if you have 2 or 3 of them. And look, there were years where the Cajuns were 11-1 playing a 10-2 app in a conference championship game. That'll help. Last year, you didn't necessarily have that with Troy because the West just didn't have that one team that could rise above. That's also been sometimes my concern with the division format, where you're kind of hopeful that you can get the best 2 teams in the conference happening to come one from each side. And that's just not always possible the way it balances out. Sometimes it's just not how you're going to get it. But regardless, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Tell you what, we haven't seen Coach McGee come back in yet, so we'll take a break now. We'll knock out our first time out of the second hour. When we return, we will hope to get the Georgia State head coach, Del McGee, on with us. You're listening to the Lowdown, today Sunbelt Media Days edition of the show.
This is the Lowdown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The fellas here at ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles are packing their bags and heading to Florida, Tampa to be specific, for SEC Media Days. Tune in starting Monday as RP3 Mesh and the Lowdown with D-Loh will be broadcasting live from Radio Row for ESPN's live from SEC Media Day coverage powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac. In addition to the live shows, the fellas will be providing boots-on-the-ground daily reports for the Jordan Holbrook Show and footnotes. Kick off the 2026 football season in Tampa with ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. Veterans, are you struggling with chronic back pain, neck issues, or reduced mobility? You're not alone, and you have options. Chiropractic care is part of your VA health benefits, and at Briscoe Chiropractic, we specialize in non-surgical, drug-free solutions to help manage your pain and improve your well-being. We are proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091, because your spine deserves expert care.
Hello, Acadiana. Cajun Carts is your #1 full-service dealer for new, used, and custom golf carts. Perfect for on the job site, the neighborhood, or even out on the green. We are the only authorized dealer of American-made E-Z-GO and Club Car here in Acadiana. For all your service, sales, and mechanical repairs, we got you. So don't wait. Roll on over to CajunCarts.com or stop by our Lafayette location by the Jockey Lot and see why we've been Louisiana's golf cart headquarters since 2003. Cajun Carts. Why walk when you can ride?
Looking for a great deal on golf this summer? Head to Farm Alley Golf Course for the Sizzlin' Summer Special. Every Tuesday through Thursday, tee off anytime between noon and 3:30 and enjoy 18 holes of championship golf, including a cart for just $55. That's unbeatable summer golf at an unbeatable price. Gather your friends, sharpen your game, and make the most of your afternoons at Farm Alley Golf Course. Book your tee time today and take advantage of the Sizzlin' Summer Special, only at Farm Alley.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Back to the sports talk you not only want, but need. This is ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We're back here on the LohDown. Sun Conference Media Days roll on, and we are now joined by the head coach of the Georgia State Panthers, Dell McGee. Coach, first off, thank you for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is an interesting year, Coach. I know you guys have been doing a lot of work in the recruiting rankings, trying to bring in talent to this team, this roster. Last year, you had a year. I mean, there were so many close ones for you. The JMU game that comes to mind. I mean, you guys are right there with a team that goes to the playoff. So what has this offseason been like, kind of maybe evaluating the first couple seasons and seeing what direction you need to go now?
I think it all started with hiring a new defensive staff, Coach Cam Clark and Coach John Hainline, co-DCs for us, and also bringing in a new D-line coach, Cam Spence, and Chad Scales is our DB coach, along with Troy Douglas at our corners coach. Three of those guys work together, so they know the vision of the defense. They know the inner makings of how it works, and we were very porous on defense last year and really couldn't stop anyone. And really, in those tight games and critical situations where we had a chance to win games, we afforded the other team to score or keep drives going where you really got to stop a team. And I want to be a team that's known for defense and controlling the line of scrimmage. And I think that the defensive strategy that we'll implement will definitely create more havoc, more tackle for losses, and create longer third down opportunities, which it's all about getting teams to longer third down so you can kind of dictate what's going to happen as opposed to guessing if it's third and short or third and 3 or less.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask you. When you come in, I imagine you have this idea of the identity you want the team to be, how you want to build it out, but also you kind of got to use what you have at your disposal. Now that you've had a couple seasons, maybe you're closer to getting a chance to put your own spin on things and really kind of spin this team the way you want it.
Yeah, I mean, I got hired late the first year, getting hired in March, and they already start spring ball. So hiring a staff in March is very hard with what's available. And I thought we did an exceptional job considering the circumstances. And then last year, I hired a new DC, and he leaves us in March, right before we're going to start spring ball. And he brought in some assistant coaches, and we didn't have the budget to bring in an entire new defensive staff, so I had to hire another DC, and things just didn't click well. And I still put ownership on myself with that. I just take those things that were done and look at it, self-assess, and try not to make mistakes, and try to put the best plan forth that's going to help us be productive. And another approach to that was being more intentional in the transfer portal, of bringing in guys that not necessarily power four guys that we brought in the prior year, where the guys were very me guys, entitled guys, and you can't play a winning brand of football when you're worried about yourself and not the team. So we were very intentional on bringing Division II, Division III junior college players, kids that were hungry, guys that hadn't seen the best of the best. I mean, you're taking players from Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State, and things of that sort. They've seen the best resources and the best things that money can buy, and then you drop down and things aren't that, then they really don't have any gratitude for the situation, and they just think about themselves. So that was just a different approach this offseason, and I can see the fruits of our labor and picking the guys with character that want to be on the big stage and feel like they got overlooked. And Ted Hurst is one that comes to mind. We got him from a Division II program, Valdosta State. He was very talented, was overlooked, but he was a worker, and we were able to develop him into a third-round draft pick. And so I think making sure you evaluate the right guys, because there's a lot of football players across this great nation of ours, and you got to identify, and then you got to find guys that fit your budget. That's one thing about the teams on the East. We're probably last when it comes to revenue share and how much we're able to pay our players. So we got to make sure we're finding bargains and diamonds in the rough for a budget, and then just getting everyone to buy into that team concept.
And it's interesting you mentioned that the idea of maybe the player who's hungrier at the lower level as opposed to the player who it doesn't work out for at the higher level. roster retention's been a common topic of conversation today. And then I imagine, of course, there's different situations, but those guys are also probably more willing to stay if they have success as opposed to the guy who comes from the Power Four. If he has success with you, he's probably going to be trying to jump right back to the Power Four anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were very strategic in trying to uh, take the right guys, and it's really hard because you're really speed dating. But I do think just having the one transfer portal window helped with that too, where you didn't have to worry about developing a guy for 4 months and then they jump in the portal again after spring football. So I think the NCAA got that part right by limiting that window to one opportunity, and I think coaches are going to be able to retain more guys because of it. I also think it benefits the student athlete because they they don't have to keep jumping and losing all these credits and don't graduate, which I think we got to look at even further uh, from the NCAA ranks to how do we still graduate our players and talk about APR and what's going to really matter in these kids creating the best versions of themselves.
Dale McGee is our guest. He's the head coach of the Georgia State Panthers with us here on the LohDown Sunbelt Conference Media Days. You guys, you mentioned Ted Hurst. You've had some really fun offensive skill players. You've had some dynamic quarterbacks as well. I know you brought yours with you this year. What are you excited about with this year's team and how they're going to look on offense?
Yeah, Cam Brown being back, he's an experienced guy. I've saw his growth over this offseason. He's grown from a leadership standpoint. He's really being more vocal as opposed to just leading by example. And we challenged him on that. He's really taking the bull by the horn of getting the players and creating player-led opportunities. And connection is a big piece in our DNA traits, and I feel like the one portal one has allowed us to connect better, where we get to know one another, get to know coaches, get to know coaches, coaches get to know players, players get to know coaches, players get to know players at other positions, where you know everyone's why, you understand what makes them tick, and we feel like the most connected team is going to be a team that's going to play that much harder for one another, coach that much harder for one another when you know each other's hardships and everyone's vulnerable and sharing, their whys, their story, their history, and it just gives everyone a better a semblance of who each player is as a person. And it's not all about football, and just finding out, their core values and how they were raised and things they had to overcome really enlightens the entire team. And I feel like it's going to pay dividends for us.
We can close it with this, Coach. It's a cliche question, but what does success look like for Georgia State football in 2026?
You can easily define it as wins and things of that sort, but I just want us to play high spirited, try to play mistake free, understand the critical areas it takes, and we got to execute in those areas. You got to create explosive plays on offense, limit explosive plays on defense. You got to score touchdowns in the red area. You got to limit touchdowns in the red area, and you got to possess the football and create turnovers. So if we can be successful in those areas, I think the outcomes will be promising for us. We're in a performance-based business, but at the same time, it's all about the process and loving the work, loving the process it takes to get to a Saturday or Friday night. We got a motto: hate to lose on Monday, hate to lose on Tuesday, hate to lose on Wednesday, hate to lose on Thursday. And you hate to lose on those days, and your preparation is exactly what it needs to be. So hopefully that carries over into Saturday.
Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this. Best of luck this season.
All right, thank you.
It's Dale McGee, the head coach of the Georgia State Panthers, kind enough to join us here on the show this afternoon, and we appreciate his time, as that makes coach number 4 now of the East Division that we have talked to today. As we mentioned, we'll have a couple of them for you on Friday, but smooth sailing so far. So shout out to Coach McGee and the Panthers. Look, it's one of those things. Like, they were 1-11 last year. I mentioned it, though. They didn't. I mean, they weren't a good team. It didn't feel like a 1-11 team. They played some really competitive games. They had JMU on the ropes, ironically enough. And certainly they didn't do what it took in some of those close games. And I kind of like some of the honesty we're hearing from some of the coaches so far. Right? Hey, what went wrong? And they're telling us, right? And he's saying it there with some of the stuff on the defensive side. They go out and make some changes, and they've had some circumstances that were dealt to them that maybe weren't ideal, but they're finding a way regardless. And so pretty cool. It's pretty cool to hear that perspective from a couple of different sources so far here today. So We got a lot going on, as we mentioned to you. We have been rolling along here on the first day of Sunbelt Conference Media Days. We are going to have another jam-packed day for you tomorrow, so stick around. We've been enjoying all the content, enjoying all the opportunities to bring you the content, I should say. We got Kevin hanging around here as well, so it's been a fun day so far, and we've still got some stuff left to get to. Our only scheduled guest the rest of the day is our friend Ricky Ronnie, the head coach of the ODU Monarchs. He is scheduled to join us at 2:50. We'll see if we can grab him a couple minutes before that. If not, he'll just close out the show for us. So no issue either way there. But a lot left to talk about. I'll tell you what, though. We have an open segment. I have one open segment today. It's the next one. So since the World Cup is on and it has started, I guess let's do Red Card Rundown. We'll do it when we come back.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up!
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys! Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The American League took home the Midsummer Classic crown last night after beating the National League 4-0. Yankees' Cody Bellinger and Ben Rice picked up back-to-back RBI to give the AL a 3-run lead in the first. Then in the 8th, Miguel Vargas hit a solo shot to left to seal the 4-0 win. The MLB All-Star break will continue today, with the regular season getting back underway tomorrow night with the Phillies hosting the Mets. Spain is heading back to the World Cup final after knocking off France 2-0 yesterday in the World Cup semifinals in Dallas. With that win, Spain has now beaten France in 3 straight semifinal matches and will now play in the World Cup final for the second time in their history. Spain will get the winner of today's semifinal matchup between England and Argentina. The last time these two teams met was in 2005, while their last competitive matchup came in the group stage of the 2002 World Cup. Kickoff is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. LSU football has released the names of the 3 attendees that will be accompanying Coach Kiffin to Tampa Bay next week for SEC Media Days. Linebackers TJ Daugherty and Whit Weeks and tight end Tradez Green will represent LSU at the podium. The Tigers are scheduled to speak next Thursday, the last day of the event. McNeese Athletics announced yesterday that they will have a new sponsorship patch on all jerseys for the upcoming year. Navarre Chevrolet, who also holds the naming rights to Cowboy Stadium, will have their sponsorship patch on all Cowboys and Cowgirls jerseys moving forward. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is packing its bags and headed to Tampa for SEC Media Days. Tune in starting Monday, July 20th, as RP3 and Mesh and the LohDown with D-Loh will be broadcasting live from Radio Row for ESPN's Live from SEC Media Day coverage, powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Kick off the 2026 season in Tampa with ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, they're national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA2519684.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Helping you get through your workday. This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, we are back on the LohDown. Things, we do it by year here, Sunbelt Conference Media Days. We got a little messed up with the schedules in the first hour. We had to push Commissioner Keith Gill. He was walking past. We had some time, so we got him now. So thank you for being here.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is, I've been coming to this event for a few years now. And we talked each year, hey, what is a New Year's Six berth? What would it mean? What would a playoff berth mean? How do you get there? It happened. It happened last year. It took a lot. It was a lot of stuff. It wasn't necessarily, always a sure thing, but how much of a, just something to sit back and reflect on and think of a success, right? That was a big goal for you guys, and it happened last year.
Yeah, it was huge. And, it's interesting. And I'm going to set the game aside and participating in CFP. One of the great things for us, where I thought it was a good bump, was all the lead up to selection. Those last 5-6 weeks of the season was all JMU Sunbelt, kind of in that conversation. Then you go from selection, which then it blows up. From selection until the game, there was a lot of just conversation and just opportunity to talk about the Sunbelt and talk about JMU as well. And then you get to the game. So it was unbelievable. I thought the visibility for the conference was great. I thought the exposure for the quality of our football was great. And I thought, what it meant for JMU was also pretty tremendous.
And they keep it going. And, of course, we're very familiar with Billy Napier. He's back in the conference. I assume that might be a first for you, welcoming a coach back into the league. What's that been like so far?
It's been great. One, because I had such a great relationship with Coach Napier when he was at Louisiana. And he was one of the coaches that I would reach out to kind of get a feel for, how his colleagues felt or ask him a question and those kind of things. So, in some ways having him back is like, getting a friend back, so I think it's great. And then obviously he's a really good coach. You think about the success that he had at Louisiana and just how he built that program to, the opportunities that he'll have at JMU. So I'm really excited that he's back.
Baseball was fun again. You mentioned it in your address earlier today. Back-to-back years with a team in Omaha, different team each time, and Troy certainly one that kind of came out of nowhere at the end of the season. But I do think it's more so now than ever. I think at least people who follow college baseball, they're well aware of what the Sun Belt is in this sport. And in theory as well, which we're going to get to in a bit, you're bringing in another program that's got a history of success. It's you thought maybe there'd be a plateau there. It feels like there hasn't been. There's still growth going on in baseball.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think, it's just awesome to watch the baseball. 2 years in a row in Omaha. Coastal 2 years ago was in the championship series, which was great. And then they hosted a regional last year. And then this year, Southern Miss hosts a regional. Troy hosts a super regional. Troy gets to Omaha. So our baseball is really on a great trajectory, and you think about, the quality of our team and the respect we have because, kind of going into our tournament, we probably had 2 locks and then everyone else was probably on the bubble, and You win a couple games in the Sun Belt tournament. Obviously, the Cajuns experienced that, and next thing you know, you're in the main draw, and you're in the NCAA. So it was an awesome baseball year, getting 5 teams in, the most we've ever had, and then all the success that we had through the tournament was pretty tremendous.
I know it's maybe been up and down on the basketball side of things. You guys renewed the Sunbelt MAC Challenge. The MAC had an interesting year last year, of course, with a team that was undefeated most of the year, getting in the tournament. Why was it important for you guys to redo that deal and re-up the Sunbelt MAC Challenge, and what do you look forward to about it now?
Yeah, it's our best non-conference games, particularly at home, are the MAC Challenge. Because it's hard to get obviously autonomy schools to come play at home. It's hard to get home games generally, and so being a part of the MAC Challenge has been really helpful in terms of getting a home game, and for our top schools, for our schools that might be fighting for NCAA seeding and those things to have like some quality games. So for that, it's been really helpful, and that's on the men's and the women's side. Statistically, the MAC has always been a little bit of a better conference than us from a basketball standpoint, but we have won the challenge. You know, we won it last year and on the men's side. I think it was tied on the women's side. We've really held our own, so I think it's actually elevated our basketball a little bit as well. So it really has been, I think, a boon for Sunbelt basketball, getting us home games, getting us quality basketball games, and I'm really glad that we have that partnership because it's been good for both conferences.
We're talking with Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill. He joins us here on the Lowdown from Sunbelt Media Days. There have been tweaks with the playoff already. And of course, one of the rule changes of this offseason will make it harder for the Sun Belt because they, have now kind of put that top six champions thing and tweaked it around a little bit. I know it's something you guys you can't get everything you want every time you're in those meetings, but how do you judge and maybe pick what you need to fight for versus what you're willing to give up, given the idea that a path is still there?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, you do have to pick your spots. The reality is for us, we want to have a real seat at the table, and we do. And when I first got here in the conference, we didn't really have a legitimate path to be in the CFP. The only school that was outside the Autonomy Five that did it was Cincinnati, and they had to go like undefeated and beat. I think they beat Notre Dame and Indiana that year, or something like that. So they beat two A5, or at the time A5, they beat two A5 schools, and then went undefeated, and they got a 4 seed or something like that in the CFP. So having a legitimate opportunity is huge. I mean, it just allows us to build our programs the way that we want to build it in a really legitimate way. So, and I do think picking our spots is really important because I think a lot of these issues are delicate, whether it's how you get funded, your access, all those kinds of things are things that certainly will put some of my colleagues into a lather, and so trying to manage that is a really important part of our strategy, no question about it.
What do you make of the? I know you at least alluded to it in your speech today, but what do you make of all the different numbers that are being thrown around right there? Whether it's 14, 16, 24, let's have a 64 team playoff. Like, what do you make of those proposals right now?
Yeah, for me, I always feel like the question just needs to be broader because I don't know that it's about a number; it's about impact and those kind of things. And so, if I was just thinking a number, I would just be like, well, 72 because that's best for the Sun Belt, right? We could get more teams in that way. But the reality is, we've got to be careful because any impacts are going to impact the regular season and the postseason. And the postseason is really important to us because the bowls matter to us. I mean, we've averaged 10 teams in postseason over the last 4 years. And if CFP is the only thing that exists, then that number is going to drop to, you know, 1.5 or some sort of number. So I just think that that's an important thing. And then the value of the CFP is important because you got to remember we're adding all these games on the back end. So in some ways, you're diluting the value of the CFP, and you just got to be careful because you'll never make that up. So I do think some detailed analysis is really important, really understanding those impacts before you just pick a number. Because the reality for the Sun Belt, the higher the number, the better. If it's just about us, but it really isn't. It's about college football generally, the ecosystem, and trying to make sure that we have something that is sustainable. And so that's why I kind of take a more of a cautious approach. Just kind of say, all right, let me see what all the facts are before I say, hey, this is the number I think is best.
Louisiana Tech, they joined the league. Texas State is out. That process took forever. It felt like same thing with Tech getting in. I guess I'll start with that. How important and how, I imagine, first off, great job getting it done, but how difficult was it to make sure we weren't going to have some weird holdover year with 13 teams? Because I know it was in doubt for a while.
Yeah, I think it was really a challenge. So credit to Louisiana Tech and certainly credit to Conference USA. Those guys kind of come to some agreement so that it could happen a little sooner. Yeah, I think it was a challenge. 13, like one of the truisms in sports is odd is bad. And so that creates some rough schedules across all your sports, and you just don't want to have to try to manage all that. So I'm really glad that it went down the way it did. It did take a while for Texas State to kind of figure that out, and that kind of put us in a little bit of a bind in terms of the timing, and the fact that we were able to get La Tech to join and actually come on board this year is really great for us because we don't miss a beat. And actually, our geography gets better. You think about the West Division, that's kind of a bus league now. Some of those rivals, I'll be, La Tech's first conference game will be against the Cajuns. So they'll be hosting them on maybe October 10th or something like that. So, so I'll be, at that game. And so I'm really excited about it in terms of, I think it does kind of stitch together some rivalries that were kind of broken apart by realignment in the past. And I think it's going to be really compelling and really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a long, complicated history between Tech and Louisiana, as you know, and but it has been interesting for me to see, and that there just came a point where I went, you know what, it makes too much sense. There's maybe some bad blood from the past, but it just makes too much sense. Let's make this thing work. I think it generally is going to be a great thing, as you mentioned. ULM, Cajuns both have Southern Miss not too far away. They've already had some great baseball run-ins, not that none of that existed with Texas State, but it certainly was a little bit tougher to make it happen given how far away the schools were.
Right. Yeah. The distance and the history, like for a lot of our schools, they didn't have a lot of pre-history with Texas State, whereas with La Tech, there's a ton of it. And I know some of it's good, some of it's bad, right? Going both ways. But I think at the end of the day, that'll all be funneled into passion, and it just means you want to beat them more. And I think it's going to work, and it's going to be great. And I think those are going to create better crowds and more engagement, and they're really good at a lot of different sports, a lot of the sports we care about. To have another good baseball team there, have another rivalry in football. Their basketball is really good, particularly historically. So I'm excited. I actually think it'll be a really, really positive thing for the league, and I think it'll be positive for Louisiana and ULM.
Commissioner, thank you for doing this. Appreciate your time as always.
Enjoy
the season.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Keith Gill, Sunbelt Conference. We will take a break. We're going to wrap up the show on the other side. We've still got Ricky Ronnie, the head coach of the ODU Monarchs, set to join us. So stay tuned. We finish up a jam-packed first day of Sunbelt Media Days after the break.
With D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Delta Media Corps is helping your kids head back to school in style, powered by Cosmetology School of Lafayette. This school year, we want to ease the pain on pocketbooks for parents by giving free haircuts away on Wednesday, July 22nd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is for kids ages 5 to 12 only. A parent or guardian must be present and sign a waiver for the free haircut. So join us at Cosmetology School of Lafayette at 5520 Johnson Street on Wednesday, July 22nd for a free back-to-school haircut.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Stop smoking with Alex Goen patented hypnosis.
My name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a seminar to stop smoking, and it worked.
The only stop smoking method in America proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office because it reprograms your subconscious. Alex Goen breaks your connection to cigarettes, coffee, stress, driving, even other smokers. No cravings, irritability, or weight gain. You walk in a smoker and you walk out free. Only $59.99 or your money back. Stop Smoking Seminar Saturday, July 18th, the Hilton Garden Inn Cajun Dome at 2 p.m. Weight loss at 11 a.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. That's ALEXGOEN. alexgoen.com.
Only the best of the best will stand proudly on the platform when Michael's Men's Club brings you the 15th Annual Stripper Olympics. Wednesday, July 15th. It's a special night of fun and games when the Stripper Olympics returns to Michael's Men's Club. Guys, it's a no-holds-barred competition. Ladies, you have a chance to win big if you're in the game. Michael's Men's Club invites you to battle it out in 3 categories. The pole, the floor show, and the most ancient art of them all, the lap dance. With $650 cash per category. First place overall gets $1,500. Second place overall gets $1,000. And third overall gets $500. That's $5,000 in total Stripper Olympics cash to be awarded. Plus a feature in Exotic Dancer magazine. Professional entertainers come from all over the USA to compete for the $5,000 in cash. Guys, mark your calendar and tell your friends, because this is the event you cannot miss. The 15th Annual Stripper Olympics. Wednesday, July 15th at Lafayette's premier gentleman's establishment, Michael's Men's Club. Highway 90 Broussard. Doors open at 5 and show starts at 7 sharp. Tickets $30 at the door. Let the games begin. Get more details now at michaelsmensclub.com.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
The biggest headlines in the world of sports are discussed here. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We are back here with the LohDown one final time on day one of Sunbelt Conference Media Days, and we have with us Ricky Ronnie, the head coach of the Old Dominion Monarchs. Coach, good to have you back. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right, last year this time, you guys were my pick. It was my dark horse pick. I was all in on you, and that kind of worked out. You guys had a really solid season.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you, that JMU game, I watched it back a couple times. Such a strange football game, the way it all kind of got away from you in such a hurry. But, I mean, it's 27-21 you guys are winning. And I know there had to be so much going into that game because you all knew it was likely going to decide the division. How do you reflect on that game? Also knowing that was a team you played that ultimately ended up being in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, we just, we played a really bad half of football there. Like I said, I think we played 6 bad quarters last year. And that's not taken away from those teams because they played really well. If you look at the game against Marshall and then the second half against JMU, we just didn't play 6 great quarters, and that one did. It just kind of got away from us. I think one that kind of we turned the ball over on the first play of the second half, and that was one of those that really that's where things kind of started to spiral for us a little bit. And I just think that we did not play our best football in the second half of that game. We didn't tackle as well. We didn't protect the football as well, and obviously those fundamentals are what got us.
You have a year where you kind of break through a little bit. There's a lot of excitement, I'm sure, and of course you're going to get hit by the portal. That's something that happens now in college football. How have you guys been able to try to handle that? Understand, hey, some of our best players are going to be moving on now. Get back the guys we can get back and try and reload.
Well, I think that's the thing. I mean, we're just going to celebrate the guys that stay, and the guys that decide to come and join us. I mean, those are the guys that we're going to, kind of talk about and go forward with. And I anticipate we're going to lose guys every year. I mean, it's not ever something that surprises me anymore. I think if you get surprised by it, you're sticking your head in the sand. That's a little Pollyannish. And so that's nothing that, I don't look poorly on the guys that leave. I don't, I just, I wish them the best of luck, and then we've got to coach the guys that we're going to have. And we were able to do that last year pretty well, and I feel confident that we're going to be able to do it this year as well.
One of those guys who departed is your quarterback, Colton Joseph, so there's going to be a new starter there for you. Tell me about the guys you have coming back, newcomers. What's that position looking like so far?
So I think we got a three-man race to see who's going to win it. Quinn Hennicle has started games for us before. He was actually Sun Belt Player of the Week 2 years ago in the last game of the season. Then he was Bowl MVP last year. So he started 2 games and has 2 awards. So he's done a pretty nice job. And then you look at Jackson Potter. He started games at Washington State. He's a transfer for us. Came in. Very good passer, big kid, very smart. Then we have a guy, Ryan Huff, who is a kid we've been developing and feel like he's got a chance to be pretty special. So, it's one of those situations where we know that we're going to have a talented guy behind center. We have 3 guys that we think can win Sun Belt games. And so that's something that maybe we haven't had in the past.
I've been really fascinated to watch you guys' offense because there's some unique elements to it. You really get the quarterback in space. You let them use it. Obviously, you had an exceptionally athletic guy, but you've recruited a lot of those. So what is it that makes your offense just a little bit different than a lot of the ones you see?
Well, I think it's the ability to, play with a bunch of space, but still run the football. And I think that, we've still, we ran for over 3,000 yards last year, and we're one of the better running teams in the Sun Belt and really in the country. And yeah, we were able to use our quarterback's legs, but we were also able to, you know, run the ball downhill with our guys, and I think that's something we added a little bit elements of hitting the off tackle spot a little bit more last year, and I thought that really helped us. And then the other ability in our offense is we throw the ball down the field, and we're going to continue to throw the ball down the field, and we have the ability to play with a lot of speed, like intense speed, where we're snapping the ball every 12 seconds or whatnot. But then we also have the ability to really slow it down and do some things. So that really is what tempo is all about, is being able to control it, not just playing one speed the whole time.
When you look at the defense, last year, one of the things that jumped out to me is how good a season you guys had. And there was the Jason Henderson question early in the year. I remember talking to you about him here, and, there was an expectation maybe he was going to really be able to step in and fill some of those roles. He ends up going out, and you guys still had other players step up. I mean, a bunch of big-time performances. I know you lose some of them to the portal, but how excited are you to get that defense back and playing the way they were?
Yeah, I mean, we bring back a lot of guys too. We bring back 10 of our top 18 snaps, and we bring back a bunch of defensive linemen. We bring back, you know, really 4 linebackers that have played significant reps for us. We bring back 4 guys in the secondary who have played significant reps for us. So I think that that's one of those things where we feel pretty good about where we're at right now on defense. We do have some holes that we have to fill. I mean, we lost a guy who had, that had 6 interceptions, so that's quite a bit. But so we got to be able to replace some of those type of things and some of that production. But I do feel that we have some guys who can do that, and I also feel like we have some experience where we can add some schemes and things of that nature.
It's you take a look at the Sun Belt, and you've been in the league now a number of years. Where is there a benefit to starting to kind of know this league, know these teams in it, or do you almost think maybe the newcomers have an edge because nobody has their scouting reports quite yet? What do you make of that?
I think the benefit is knowing that each and every week is going to be a war, and that's it. I mean, they're the coaching staffs and the schematic knowledge that everyone has here, and the type of players we have. I mean, each game is just such a battle, and it's such a challenge for everybody. And and I think that's why it's the greatest Group of 6 conference in the country. Is there are no weeks off, there are no days off. I mean, each game is going to be an absolute battle, and you watch it over and over and over again. There seems to be surprise wins every week, right? And so I think it's just one of those things where that's probably the benefit I have, is I don't get surprised anymore. I know that team across from us is going to play, and they're going to play hard.
We'll close it out with a little bit of a cliche. What has to go right for ODU to have a successful season in 26?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to continue to play well on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage. Obviously our defensive line, we have a lot of those guys returning, so those guys have to play up to their potential and up to what we're expecting from them. And then our offensive line, has to come together. We have 5 new starters on the offensive line. Those guys have got to come together. If they can do that, then I feel very confident in what we'll be able to do.
Coach, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
It's Ricky Ronnie, head coach of the ODU Monarchs, talking to us here on the show. Appreciate him and his time for joining us here on a day one edition of Sunbelt Conference Media Days here, getting things started off in New Orleans. We will be back tomorrow. Man, and we got it done. And shout out to James back in the studio, back in the Beal and Abear studios for helping us, get it all run. I was throwing it every break. I was throwing at him, hey, by the way, we're going to do this interview now. We're going to do this interview now. We were going to do the soccer red card rundown update, and then Commissioner Gill had some time. So we said, you know what, let's flip it around. So we got it done. I think it went pretty well, and I hope you enjoyed it back at home as well. If you are interested in that match, of course, Argentina and England are tied 0-0 at the half. There's been couple of chances, couple of yellow cards, one on each side in this match, but so far they still play scoreless. Still waiting for maybe Messi or Harry Kane to put their impact on this one. So we'll see who ends up getting the better of that one. The winner obviously will meet Spain in the World Cup final, which will happen on Sunday. So thank you to our guests. I mean, we'll go all the way through them. Clay Helton started us off, the head coach at Georgia Southern. Billy Napier, of course, with JMU was after that. Dowell Loggins from App State. Del McGee from Georgia State. Keith Gill, the commissioner of the conference. And we rounded it out with Ricky Ronnie. I told you we're going to talk to every coach in the East Division, and that promise will be kept. We will have conversations with both Tony Gibson, the head coach of Marshall, and Ryan Beard, the head coach of Coastal Carolina, new first-year head coach, and we will air those for you on Friday. That'll be kind of our spillover day to make sure we can fit everything in. So Friday's show, I will be live, but I'll also have some interviews, some content from media days that I don't get to squeeze into the 2 days of live coverage. So we are going to make it all happen. That is a promise. Tomorrow, we've got the entire West Division lined up. We've got Cajuns players as well. We'll get a chance to talk to Lunch Winfield and George Jackson, in addition to Coach Dez and the rest of the coaches from the West. Sonny Cumbie, Louisiana Tech's first day in the league. So all that fun stuff still to come. Should be a whole lot of fun. With that being said, that's going to do it for day number one. I mentioned it, man. It happens every year here. You just kind of, but you forget the flow of things. It goes so fast. And I know Kevin mentioned that on his show. It's like, man, you look up and the 2 hours are gone, and that's how I feel right now. But really grateful to have this opportunity, as always, to talk about Sunbelt Conference football. It's been fun so far, and as I mentioned, it's really only getting started. Stay tuned. Later today, still some more content to come for us. We have got an article that's going to be up. I'm writing about the new head coach of the Dukes, Billy Napier. He had some things to say today at the podium. Some things I took note of. We're going to put together that little feature, so that will be up on the website later this evening. We'll have plenty more. We'll obviously have stuff on the website tomorrow involving the Raging Cajuns. Hopeful to get a chance to see their live, obviously their live time at the podium. I think they're actually the first team up tomorrow, which is a new experience for them. Everything's backwards this year. LSU's always the team on the first day. They're going on the last day. Cajuns are always usually towards the end. Now they're towards the beginning. We'll get it all figured out, though. So with all that being said, once again, thanks to everybody for making it happen. Appreciate the Sunbelt Conference for having us here, getting us all set up. Thanks to James back in the studio for making sure that we stayed on the rails here. And we managed to get it in. We got all the breaks in. We got all the interviews in. So I call that a successful day number one. We're back here for day number two tomorrow, 1 o'clock, same places, same stations. Until then, stay safe out there. AFR is next.
When it comes to the best Boudin Cracklins in Acadiana, just follow your nose to Billy's Boudin Cracklins. You know the original stuffed pepper jack Boudin balls, award-winning Boudin Cracklins. But you gotta sink your teeth into their variety of fresh and smoked sausages. Stock up on the wide selection of specialty meats as well. They're available at all 4 locations of Billy's Boudin Cracklins: Opelousas, Scott, Lafayette. Or the Crot Springs location, now featuring a dine-in area with great burgers and much more cooked to order. Or visit online at billysboudin.com.
Get ready for one of South Louisiana's favorite summer traditions. The 17th annual STM Fishing Rodeo is July 31st and August 1st at Quintana Landing in Sycamore Point. Whether you're chasing the winning catch or just looking for a great weekend on the water, enjoy great fishing, exciting prizes, delicious food, and a fun atmosphere, all while supporting St. Thomas More Catholic High School. Register by July 24th at noon to guarantee your official event t-shirt. Register today at stmcougars.net/fishing.
August 15th is the date for the 12th annual Fête du Teche boat procession down the Bayou Teche. The day begins with Mass en Francais with Bishop Desitel at 8 a.m. at St. Leo's Church in Leonville. The boats then depart for a Eucharistic boat procession ending in St. Martinville. Register your boat today or find out more information at fêtedudetech.org or by liking their Facebook page. Don't miss the 12th annual Fête du Teche, Saturday, August 15th.
Looking for a spotless workplace? Variety Janitorial Services is your go-to. For office cleaning to stripping and floor waxing and carpet cleaning, your commercial space will look its best. Their reputation for perfection has grown throughout the entire Acadiana community. They deliver top-notch service with a commitment to excellence. Daily, weekly, or deep cleaning, trust the experts. Visit VarietyJan.com today or call 337-298-8704 for a free quote. Variety Janitorial Services. We clean, you shine.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Karen Crow Lafayette, KLCJ FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.